You ever feel like something's a little off in this country? Like the people at the top make the rules for us, but somehow they never follow them. You start asking the question, who's really in control? Let's start close to home, right here in Alberta.
What I will say on the second is that we have a contract with the RCMP that they are not fulfilling.
My name is Dan, and welcome to all our new subscribers. So that is our premier, and she's not wrong. Alberta's been paying for federal policing that isn't even fully staffed. Hundreds of positions empty, and Ottawa keeps dragging its feet. We keep asking for help. They keep sending excuses. So Alberta's training sheriffs to step in, and that's not rebellion, that's survival. Now keep that in the back of your mind, because this next part, it shows just how deep the problem really goes.
Are these sentiments that you yourself would echo from what you know of the situation? And do you have similar concerns about political bias on the part of the RCMP that would make it more imperative for Alberta to move to a provincial police service?
Well, I don't have an opinion on the first, but what I will say on the second is that we have a contract with the RCMP that they are not fulfilling. They are supposed to provide us with 1,911 officers, and they routinely do not. We routinely have 400 or more officers that are vacant in detachments. We have detachments that sometimes have no officer on call, and we don't see any path forward for how that's going to be remedied. In addition to that, we also see that the federal government issued a white paper in March saying that they want to remove RCMP from community policing. So when we take all of that together, I would say that we are very supportive of the RCMP moving to a federal policing role, and that's part of the reason why we're preparing our sheriffs to be able to take over on a variety of different policing functions where there are holes.
See what I mean? That's not a conspiracy. That's a contract being broken. And it's not just about missing officers. It's about trust. When Alberta can't even count on fair policing, it makes you wonder how many other cracks are forming in the foundation. So that's Alberta. The RCMP can't fill their posts, and the province had enough. That's fair. But here's where it gets wild. Just as that story was breaking, the leader of the opposition federally dropped a bombshell. He accused the RCMP of covering up for the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, at the time. And when the legacy media came after Pierre Poilievre, they tried to smear the platform he said it on. The question became, did Pierre Poilievre back down, or did he double down? Stick around, because this next part is where the whole story blows wide open. What you're about to hear didn't break on CBC or CTV or the Globe and Mail. It came from a YouTube channel with over 200,000 subscribers called Northern Perspective.
Our latest interview with Pierre Poilievre made national headlines yesterday when someone posted a small clip of one of the questions he had answered and showed no context at all when he was giving his negative opinion on the RCMP. The clip went viral, and the mainstream media jumped at the chance to attack both Pierre and us here at Northern Perspective.
Now that video went viral. Millions of Canadians saw it across YouTube and TikTok, but instead of asking, is this true? The mainstream media jumped at the chance to attack both Pierre Poilievre and Northern Perspective. Typical, right? They don't want independents asking questions that make them look bad.
You know, Bob, when that clip surfaced on social media last night, a friend of mine saw it and said, is this AI? Because despicable leadership, cover up for the... I mean, what do you make of this from Pierre Poilievre?
You'd think that's a fair setup, right? Like, here's your moment to talk about the actual story.
One would wonder if he's trying to go full MAGA, because this, which I've never heard of this Northern Perspective or whatever it is. Yeah. It's they don't even tell us who the people are. If you go on their website, I've never heard of it. But anyway, he's now on this sort of crazy right-wing YouTube channels spouting what he's spouting. First of all, I think today that the RCMP Commissioner did make a mistake today. He should not have shown up as a prop for the government announcement. He should stay away from the government on these things. He's supposed to be independent.
Crazy right-wing YouTube channels. Never heard of them. Could it be AI? Give me a break, you guys. That's the same Bob Fife who's supposed to hold power accountable. But when the story doesn't fit their narrative, they laugh it off. And that's why independent media exists now, because someone has to talk about what the establishment won't. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe right now and share this video, because what's coming up next is proof that real Canadians are paying attention. And old school legacy media, well, frankly, they hate it. When we see fellow creators getting dismissed or disrespected by the big media, we at Unfiltered, we don't just sit quiet. We call it out, because Canadians showed up big time for Northern Perspective. Our TikTok video supporting them, 45,000 views and counting, 700 and more comments, 169 saves. That's just not traction. That's a national response. And this was one of my favorite threads. We asked the question, drop your province if you stand with Northern Perspective. And take a look at this. Alberta, BC, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia. Love your perspective in Calgary, Alberta. That's the whole country showing up right there. Then the comments started pouring in. Chris said, Northern Perspective tells the truth, something our politicians don't do or media news does not do. Thank you, Northern Perspective. Claude said, maybe you should do your research, Bob, and realize Northern Perspective is a fantastic podcast with two educated individuals. I once respected you, Bob, but not anymore. Fast Moving 1959 kept it short and sweet. BC, I love Northern Perspective. Sherry added, truth and independent media, thank you. Heather wrote, people should watch all the videos NP have done. They give a very good information and back it up with receipts. Mainstream media could learn a lot about honest reporting from Ryan and Tanya. Michelle said, keep up the great work, Northern Perspective. And a shout out to independent media, including Juno, Elevate, Moose on the Loose, Baked on Things, Unfiltered, National, Telegraph, Rebel News, The Canadian Shield, Mrs. Sunshine Baby, and Jasmine Lane. Thank you for that, by the way. And finally, Aussie Roller left it off with Alberta here. I stand for truth and independent media. Liberal corruption at its best. That right there is Canada speaking, not bots, not headlines, just people from every province standing up for truth and independent voices. So yeah, when legacy media rolls their eyes at Northern Perspective, they're not mocking YouTube channels. They're mocking you, Canadians. And that's where we, at Unfiltered, draw the line. And by the way, a big thanks to Northern Perspective for blazing that trail. They opened the door for channels like Unfiltered to stand shoulder to shoulder in this fight for honest media coverage. You're going to find a link for their channel down below in the description. Make sure you give them a follow after this episode. And wait until you hear the next thing, because it's the moment everything flipped. They came after Poilievre hard, mocking the platform he was on, tried to kill the story, but here's the real question. Did he back off when they turned up the heat, or did he double down and leave the whole country talking about his response?
Abigail, you've been working on this story all day long. What has the reaction been?
What struck me, Mike, so far covering this story was how hard it has been to get a Conservative who wants to speak on the record, on camera about this. I don't think I've had so many rejections to interview requests than this one. Behind the scenes, you know, it's a different story, and there are obviously different camps, different reactions, but a political hand grenade is one of the on background comments that I got from is someone who wasn't able to go on camera.
So the first thing that they lead with, not the story, not the facts, but how hard it is to find a Conservative willing to talk about it. That's the spin, right? Make it sound like even his own party's scared of Poilievre. Meanwhile, the real story that the RCMP might have covered up for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau gets buried under rejections to interview.
Sometimes. Conservatives are really good at fighting the last war. We hold grudges like you just can't believe. And this interview was really a greatest hits replay of all of the things that upset the base the most. So we had like the 2016 Aga Khan Island, that was 10 years ago. The 2019 SNC Lavalin scandal 6 years ago. Then the comments about the RCMP were really about the leadership under Brenda Lucki, who resigned in 2023, 2 years ago. These are all things that happened. They're worth mentioning, I think, but like none of them made anybody stop voting Liberal.
And then it even gets worse. They actually joke about calling a wellness check on Poilievre. A wellness check for asking a question about accountability? That's their move? When you can't argue the facts, you mock the person asking the questions. Because if they admit he's right, they'd have to admit the system's broken.
Like, maybe Pierre should call the RCMP for a wellness check, or maybe the Conservative Party should call the RCMP for a wellness check on Pierre. This is so far from being relevant or something that people are talking about. It is almost a bizarre break with reality. Like, is he actually okay?
And frankly, here's where it crossed the line. Calling it a bizarre break with reality, that's their way of saying, hey, Canada, don't worry, nothing to see here. But there is something to see here. There's evidence, their words, not ours, that points to fraud and a police force that refused to act. And instead of asking why, they're asking if he's okay. Instead of asking questions about the documents, they're worried Poilievre might need a nap. They call it bizarre. They call it far from reality. You know what's bizarre? That a national newsroom is more upset about who said it and where they said it than whether it's true or not. It's softness, plain and simple. They're scared to poke the bear because deep down, they know if this story sticks, it blows open the whole trust game between the press, the police, and the people. Now here's the part that drives it all home. They said he was unhinged. They called it a bizarre break with reality. But Poilievre wasn't talking about politics. He was talking about evidence. They wanted performance. He gave them an ultimatum.
Yes and yes. Obviously, Justin Trudeau violated Section 121 of the Criminal Code when he accepted a $250,000 vacation from someone who had asked for him to give a $10 million government grant. The RCMP's own documents revealed that there were grounds to believe that fraud had happened. And yet, even though he broke the criminal code, the Mounties, the brass of the RCMP said that they could not, quote, productively pursue an investigation. If the RCMP Commissioner is now saying that he wants to open that investigation, we're prepared to hand over all the evidence of Mr. Trudeau's criminal code violations.
That's Poilievre right there. The RCMP's own documents showing grounds to believe fraud had happened, and they still did nothing. Then he says if the commissioner wants to open it now, he'll hand over the evidence. That's not rhetoric. That's an ultimatum. So why then is the legacy media trying so hard to make him sound crazy instead of making the RCMP answer for it? And look, whether you like Poilievre or not, this isn't about party lines. This is about accountability. If we can't trust our national police to follow the law without fear or favor, then what kind of country are we handing to our kids and future generations? So let me ask you this. Do you think the RCMP should take Poilievre's evidence and reopen that investigation? Or are they just going to keep protecting the powerful? Drop your take below. That's what this town hall is for. And hey, if you believe independent voices matter, do me a favor and share this video right now so more Canadians can see what's really going on. And before we wrap up today, join the National Town Hall in the comments below. That's where these conversations keep going, and make sure you drop your province. Follow Unfiltered on TikTok for daily Town Hall clips and updates. And if you want more Unfiltered, check out this video right here. It's called The $20 Billion Fraud. And I hope to see you there.